Hello cookies, it's Siri, I'm back and today we're going to declutter my palettes together. Some of you have requested my favorite palettes, so I thought, okay, since we're going to declutter, I might as well just go through the ones that I really don't need that much, the ones that I really like, and the ones that are just like nice, but they're not favorites. This is going to stay because I really like most of the shades. I feel like the only shades I don't use are this one and this one. The rest are shades that I could definitely use and that match my skin tone. So even though it's not one super favorite, it is definitely staying. This is definitely staying. This is one of my absolute favorite palettes. I just love all of the colors. And when this palette came out, actually, I really wanted to have it, but it was just so super expensive. I was like, okay, I'll wait a little bit. This palette is not really a favorite because I feel like the dark shade to contour, it is okay, but if I want a really intense contour, it's not that obvious. And then this one, I would not really use it, and this one is good as well, but it's not yellow enough for my skin tone. So this is staying just because I could see myself use this on John and use this or this to contour on him if I ever need to actually put makeup on him, but otherwise it's not like a super favorite. I've actually never used it, so I haven't opened it yet. I received it a couple of months ago from Kat Von D. Yeah, thank you so much, Kat. But I don't know, I've never had the opportunity to use it, so it's definitely staying. Rust is technically my absolute favorite out of the 4 eye quads. I've used it a couple of times, but I always keep it in the box because I just kind of feel like it's more protected. And as you can see from the dirt on here, this is definitely my favorite shade from the Lovesick palette, while I've actually used this one quite a lot as well. This is definitely one of my absolute favorite palettes, if not my favorite to contour. Right now I'm actually hesitating. As you can see here, I also have the Kat Von D Shade and Light, and I actually used this for my videos previously, and I feel like this is a really nice one, but we're going to touch on this later. But this one is definitely my... Let's say that these two are my favorite powder contour palettes. So it's in the box, but I've actually used it a couple of times, but I feel like it's much nicer in the box, so I just let it stay there anyway. Actually, when I saw this on eBay, because I bought it on eBay, it just looked absolutely fantastic, but for some weird reason, those shades are just so like chunky, they're not creamy. They're not pigmented. Even when I mix them with other stuff, they're just so stiff and they're really not nice to use, and they don't give a nice payoff. So the colors are amazing, but the stuff is completely useless. Even though I haven't used it that much lately, I feel like it's a really useful palette when I do some crazy looks. And I don't have the Makeup Forever Flash palette, but this is definitely kind of like a nice dupe. This is of course staying. It is one of my absolute favorite palettes, so it's staying. I really like those shades here. I feel like those two are actually a bit too light, but this is actually okay if it's just for the Cupid's bow, while these two together are really nice on my cheeks. I really love all these shades and I think that it's really great quality. But it's not a super favorite. I really like the colors, but I'm not sure yet if it's a favorite or not palette because it's just so new. But I'm going to use it more and tell you what I think. But it is definitely one of the ones that are staying. Unfortunately, it has to go because I really like that it's colorful, and you know, it was a gift from someone that really wanted to, you know, be nice to me, but it is taking a lot of space, and I feel like the Sugarpill eyeshadows that I have are much better quality, so this has to go. It is my favorite bronzing palette. Not that I have so many, but I really like all the bronzers in here, so this is definitely staying. There's no question this has to go because I really don't like the quality of the eyeshadows, so yeah, this was easy, it's gone. One of my first expensive buys in terms of palettes because I really felt like the colors were just amazing, and I really needed all of them. But at the moment I feel like I haven't used many of these shades, and even though they're really nice, I'm not sure. So I will put this in the I'm not sure pile and then think about it later. This is staying. I really like the quality of those tiny baby eye quads, and Plum is my second favorite. The quality is like my favorite quality of colorful matte eyeshadows, even though this palette is not a complete favorite because I feel like all the shades are a bit too cold for my skin tone. I can still make them work and I still kind of need those shades, and this is definitely staying. I really like soft pastel colors, and I definitely feel like I could get a good use of these shades. It's not a super favorite palette, but it is one of the ones that I really like. I really like this green here for a smoky eye. I think like it goes really well with my natural eye color, and I really like this shade to blend colors with, so this is staying as well. I was actually not really impressed when I first got it because I was so used to the quality of the Flaming Love palette, but in overall it is still one of my best quality palette in terms of matte and shimmers. It was on the matte ones were less pigmented than the Flaming Love palette, but still it is much better quality than many of my other palettes, so I'm keeping it. When you look at this palette, it actually doesn't match my skin tone at all, so maybe that's why I actually have never used it. But I'm going to keep it just because I haven't used it. I have swatched it, maybe. I think I have swatched this one. No, I've actually never even swatched this, so I've never touched this palette because all these shades are way too cold for my skin tone. But I have a principle that products that I haven't even tried, I don't give away or I'm not gonna get rid of. This is going to leave. I feel like they're nice shades, but I don't really need all these shades together, and they're not super creamy, they're not really pigmented, they're not very easy to blend. So as you can see here, I've tried them, I've used them a couple of times. I've actually used them on John and they seem to work really well with John, but it's not like I'm doing his makeup all the time, so I feel like for what I need this palette, it's just taking some space, so it has to go. It's definitely staying, even though I haven't done much face painting lately. I still need this, and if I feel like doing some face paint, then I need this because these are my only watercolor. This is staying as well because I haven't had the opportunity to use it because I was too focused on this one right here, and I felt like since the shade are more or less kind of nude and very similar, I didn't need to open both this and this. So this is still tightly wrapped, so it's definitely staying because I haven't even tried it. This palette is going. I'm not super impressed with the quality, and the shades are very common. It's shades that I can basically find anywhere, and the pigmentation is really not so nice actually compared to so many of the other palettes. I feel like the pigmentation is just, for me, not super great. This is my current absolute favorite nude matte eyeshadow palette. I really like it, and I feel like I'm using it so much. If I have no idea what to do, I'm always drawn to this palette. As usual, I keep it in the box still, and you have all the different shades that are nude. So I really like this because it's the same thing as this palette here. If I have no idea what to do and I want something a little bit warmer, I feel like I always go for this palette here as well. So it is also one of my favorites. So this is the school where I studied makeup at. That was not a good experience. I freaking hate that school. Never want to see this damn logo. They're not like super pigmented, they're not bad, but they're just like, yeah, whatever, there's much better, and I already have so many others that perform much better, so this has to go. This is actually my very first eye product purchase ever, and I remember that when I was in Singapore, I was like, I didn't know anything about makeup, and I just went to Watsons, which is like a place where you can just get different types of pharmacy products and some light makeup. And I saw this and I remembered thinking I just need something that is kind of nudish and that is easy to use. And they had this, you know, like instructions on how to use it. And I haven't used this palette since a long time. Even already when I was in Singapore, I stopped using it. But it just has a very sentimental value to me because it was my first real makeup purchase. So this is staying just because it reminds me of my old days. All these shades are so cold and they make me look very, very ashy. But I'm going to put it on the I'm not sure pile because they're still really, really pigmented and I don't have this shade of gray. So if someday I really need a matte grayish shade, I might need this. So I'm going to put it on the natural pile for now and then think about it later. Even though it looks kind of messy here, I've never used this palette. I received it very recently from OPV Lashes. I'm definitely going to try this very soon to see whether I'm going to keep it or not. I'm not really sure now if I'm going to keep it because I really like those shades, but I also feel like I have many others that could do a better job right now. So I'm going to put this in the I'm not sure pile. And this is just going. I barely used it. I think that I used mostly this shade and this shade. And I have no idea what happened to this shade because it looks like it's destroyed even though I haven't used this palette in many, many years. These shades are really nice, but just not on my skin tone. They're way too cold and too pinky. I'm not sure pile because I really want to try color correcting with these shades, but the thing is I don't have any use for color correcting right now. My normal concealer routine is enough. I don't have such major problems that I would need to use any of these. This is staying because I really, really like this palette. I know it looks like there's a lot of nudes, but I really love this purple shade. I really like this shade and some of these shades. The quality is really nice. And you've seen this in my videos before, and I actually got lots of compliments both on Instagram and YouTube every time I had looks using this palette. So this is staying. It's not a super favorite, but I really, really like it. I'm not very impressed with the shade selection. There's lots of nudes. They're all kind of very neutral, kind of toned down, very shimmery, most of them, and they're really hard actually to use all together if you want something that is not nude or a bit more special. And the shades, some of the shades are so similar. It's like this shade and this shade and this shade. When you blend them properly, they look almost all the same, and same for all the different browns. And yeah, like there's nothing super special about this palette, and I have all of these shades in all the other ones that I'm keeping. These 4 palettes were in the maybe pile, and I've been thinking a little bit, so I'm going to keep this one here and all these 3 have to go. It makes me really sad actually, especially for these 2, because these 2 were purchases that I made and that I really, really liked and that I really wanted to have, but I feel like now they're kind of a bit, you know, I've moved on with the relationship, so it's like it's not them, it's me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you cookies enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up and subscribe if you don't want to miss the upcoming videos. And until next time, I will see you at the next video. Bye bye!